You're still on to the conversation on Lagos television. At this moment, we'll be looking at politics. As a country, we have enjoyed uninterrupted democracy since 1999 after years of military rule. But the question to ask now is this. When you look at those parading themselves as icons of democracy, icons of politics, what exactly is their character? And compare them to those days of late Chief Obafemi Awolowo when we had MPN, UPN, and other political parties. Is there any basis for comparison at all? Some of these political parties, what is their ideology, as well as the politicians themselves? What are they coming to offer the people of Nigeria? I'll be having this conversation with a senior colleague in the profession, as well as a political affairs commentator. Mr. Bolawole is right here with us in the studio. It's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you, my brother. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right. Character for me is everything in life. And when you look at the character of those parading themselves as politicians today, now put it side by side with what we had in the days of MPN and UPN, there is no connect at all. I read history and I saw what those politicians of those days offered Nigerians in terms of dividends of democracy. We are making more money now, but we can hardly see any impact. What exactly is the problem here?
Thank you very much. When we talk about character, we are referring to more or less, most of the time, to individuals. But when we're talking about political parties, we're talking about ideology, talking about their belief systems. We're talking about their ideas and ideals. We're talking about their own worldview. We're talking about how they see society, how they think society should be organized, how they think the economy should be organized, what they think should be the relationship between the poor and the rich, and how they think that society as a whole should function, and what they think should be the goals of governance. Yes, you are correct to say that we do not see much of ideology in the present political setting, much unlike what we had during the First Republic, when you had parties that you could say these are conservatives, these are welfareist or socialist parties. But now we have the major parties. It's not as if you don't have some parties that registered and that said that they are welfareist or that they are socialists, they are workers or Marxist parties, but they are parties that are not in any way reckoned with. They don't have the clout. They don't command attention and respect. They are just there in the books of INEC as registered political parties. But when it comes to actual activity on the political turf, you don't find them anywhere. They don't win elections at the national level, and many of them don't also win elections even at the state or local government level. So the parties that actually command attention and respect are the big parties. And when you look at these big parties, it doesn't appear as if anything ideological separates them. It's like they all belong to the same political spectrum, and that, like somebody said, they appear to be the different fingers of a leprous hand. You see, a leprous hand will have 5 fingers, and you know those 5 fingers, some will be taller than the others. In the same way we have in Nigeria today, we have all these political parties, and some of them are in opposition, some of them are in government, some of them, some are bigger than the others. But all of them belong within the same ideological spectrum. You cannot actually say this is the ideology of APC, for instance, which sets it apart from the PDP. You cannot also say this is the ideology that says the new coalition that they are trying to form, the ADC, that sets it apart from even the APC that they are trying to kick out of power. Even the so-called Labour Party that is supposed to be an ideological party, a party of ideology, because it is presumed to be a party of workers, and workers naturally are presumed to be either socialist or welfareist or things like that, certainly not capitalist, you discover that their presidential candidate in the last election is a confirmed capitalist. You discover that many of their leaders are confirmed capitalists. And you discover, therefore, that the crisis between them and even the NLC, that is the custodian of workers' rights and workers' agitation, they are also in conflict with some of the elements within that Labour Party, in such a way that that party is now emerged in a leadership crisis. So it is true to say that in the Fourth Republic, we have not seen a demarcation of political parties along ideological lines like we saw it in the First Republic, and even up to some extent in the Second Republic. Yes.
Okay, I'll take you back to character now. When you look at the likes of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, and of course Akintola in those days, we did not see them associate themselves with certain elements that are politicians. But these days, when you look at APC, you see somebody from Labour tomorrow coming into APC without checking the background or the character of the person. I saw a particular video recently. We had a discussion on that video here, that of the former governor of Kogi State, Yaya Bello, where some members of the State House of Assembly were kneeling before the guy, and he was instructing them that whatever Mr. Governor brought to the House of Assembly, you must take it hook, line, and sinker. So how do we connect his membership of APC with that kind of character?
Yeah, you see, the leaders, the political leaders that we have at the moment are about the worst as far as character is concerned. And it shows you the level to which democracy has degenerated in Nigeria. What we have today is a situation where people go into politics not necessarily because they have in their heart the love of the people. They do not have the ideal of service. Unlike those people, those leaders of the past that you mentioned, the Tafawa Balewas, the Ahmadu Bellos, the Awolowos, the Azikiwes, the Akintolas, and all the others, who went into politics immediately before independence. Their politics was politics of agitation, politics of gaining independence for Nigeria. All of them participated. The First Republic politicians, Aminu Kanu, all of them, they participated in the struggle of emancipation, the struggle to free Nigeria from colonial rule. So you could see it in their blood. You can see it in their system that these were people who were agitating for freedom for their people. And they were not the only one. It was the norm during that period across Africa. In Ghana, you found Kwame Nkrumah doing the same thing. In what they used to call Dahomey, which is now Benin Republic, you find, or Togo, you find Olympio and all the others fighting. You have Kenneth Kaunda in Zambia. You have a lot of other Nyerere in Tanzania. So, and in South Africa, Southern Africa, you have Nelson Mandela, ANC, and the others fighting for freedom from colonial rule and from apartheid. So those were leaders that were brought up, that were schooled in struggle. These were leaders that from that beginning, even from the time that they were students in London. Awolowo was a student when he formed the Yoruba, you have any fair or the Yoruba people is something there. Yeah, Azikiwe to form the Igbo people is when he was even they were in the university. So these were people that were born into colonial rule and that rose up to agitate against colonial rule. So they were agitators. They were people whose consciousness was formed by the need to emancipate their people from colonial rule. So they had ideas of what they wanted to do once they get power. So by the time they got hold of power, they knew the policies they wanted to implement. They wanted education for their people. They wanted health for their people. they wanted employment for their people, they wanted this, they wanted that for their people, and they went about trying to achieve all those ideas. They had ideals. They had read books by other notable writers. They had studied politicians from the West and things like that. And they also wanted Africa to also be like the West. So those people had ideals. They had heroes ahead of them that they were looking at. They had the type of Mahatma Gandhi and other like that. And you saw that Awolowo was using the spectacle. Yeah. That yes, you see some of those. So they had.
But at some point, rather, Mr. President is equally wearing the same glasses.
The people who are, you see, the people who are wearing it now. You see, they
and the cap
and the cap. They are trying. It's not the only one. There are many of them. Baba Femojude, all of them. They are wearing it. And you see, it is also to tell you that they identify.
But they are not practicing it.
Yes, whether they are practicing it is another thing entirely. They identify. And why do they identify? They identify because they think it is the right thing to do. They think that those people were actually leaders and that they set good examples. So they want to imitate what those people have done. They want to be identifying with those people. It could be a political gimmick. Let people see us that we identify with. Let's use his name. Let's use his credibility to get into office. But after getting into office, whether you will now be able to perform what those people perform, what Awolowo performed in office, whether you will be able to behave like Awolowo behaved, whether you have it in your heart to love the people and serve the people instead of serving yourself like Awolowo and the others did, is another thing entirely. But we saw it then. And those were the reasons, those were the things that propelled the early leaders. But after independence, after we have moved away from independence and we are now on our own, we found out, to our chagrin, that the people who ought to have ruled the country, who had these ideals that we're talking about, were edged out by the colonial masters. The colonial masters knew the people they did not want to hand over power to. It's like the statement of a former leader of the country that says, I know those who will not take over from me. I may not know those who will, but I know those that will not take over. So the British knew those who will not take over, those they will not hand over power to. They knew the people and they handed over to the conservative elements. The most conservative elements were those that they handed over power to. The feudal elements were those they handed over power to. So the people with ideology, the people with welfareist ideas or socialist ideas were edged out. And they were gradually and systematically marginalized from that point up till now. So the marginalization of ideological politics didn't start today. It started from the First Republic, when the Awolowos, the Aminu Kanos were edged out of power, and the Northern People's Congress, the conservative section of the political parties were the ones that were handed over power to. And
so they actually created this problem for us.
The British created this problem deliberately, because they didn't want the leaders that could stand up against them. They didn't want leaders in the mold of Nelson Mandela. They didn't want leaders in the mold of courageous leaders, in the mold of Nkrumah. They wanted leaders that they could manipulate. And like somebody was telling me recently now, where I was looking at the election in Osun, who would the parties bring forward as their candidate? One will say, this one, they will not bring him forward. I say, why? Only Koni. They want people who will hear what. Can you imagine? So one of the criteria that they use now to select who will be this, will be that, who will hear what, who will listen to us, not who can do the job.
Who they can control.
No, we can control. They can control. They sit there, we sit down, get up, they will get up. That is it was the same thing. It started from the British. They gave power to the people that they could control, and it has continued. Even when the military was leaving in 1979, what did they do? the man who was supposed to hand over power told us that the best candidate may not win. How can you have the best candidate and you now decide, you know him, that he may not, you are not going to hand over power to him? Even though some people said that that best candidate actually won that election, it was manipulated and he did not win. And after this man died, the same people who didn't allow him to win now came out and say the best president Nigeria never had. How can you have an ideological based politics? How can you have a politics of relevance in that situation, in that scenario, where you have you have a situation where you know this is the best thing, this is the right thing for you to do, you deliberately decide not to do it, and at the end of the day we are now, and people are crying that Nigeria is passing through problems, the economy is this, the economy is that, whereas we had systematically, since we gained independence, been destroying this economy. We have systematically, since independence, been destroying this country systematically. And then now that everything has come to a head, then we are now complaining. This is not the time to complain. So okay, we should look back.
Without meaning to malign anybody, the likes of Mr. President himself, Kyle Defayemi, and a host of others will refer to themselves as an Awoist. Baba, Bisi Akonde, and of course, who else now? A couple of them. But when you look at their actions, it's contrary to that of Awolowo. They will tell you they are progressives, yet they are romancing all sorts of politicians without having any clear-cut direction as to how to move the country forward.
You see, it's not as if they are not Awoist. You can call yourself Awoist.
Awoist by name, but in character they are not.
Yes, it depends. Which aspect of Awoism? Which aspect of Awoism? The cap is Awoism. You are wearing Awo's cap. You are an Awoist. The glasses, you are wearing that gold rimmed frame. You are Awoist. You are wearing Awo's agbada. You are Awoist. You have Awo's ideals and ideas. You follow Awo's ideas and ideas. You are Awoist. So it depends on how, in what area
we are following it. Why are you not implementing it?
Fine. No, these people may not, like we have said, these people may not be interested in Awo's ideals and Awo's principles and politics. They are only interested in using the name of Awo to get into office. And it happens everywhere. Why are they trying to now use the name of Buhari? You know, in the north, they use the name of Buhari. When Awo was alive, they will say that anybody that Awo presented, even if he presented a goat as for election in the South, the person will win. Is that not so? Anyone, people will not, where is Awolowo's party? This one. That's where the people will go and thumbprint. So they use, right from time, and it's not only here, all over the world, they use people with name, people who has the name, the pedigree, people will mount on your back. A philosopher said that if I had seen far enough than the others, it's because I mount on the shoulders of legends. When you stand on the shoulders of people that have made a name, then you are in a better position to achieve your political objective. That's what people are doing. They are just standing on the shoulders of Awo, standing on the shoulders of Ahmadu Bello, standing on the shoulders of Zik. They stood on the shoulders of Ikemba. Yeah, they stand on the shoulders of people. And now, in this dispensation, people are standing on the shoulders of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to win the elections, particularly in the areas where he is very strong. And people stood on the shoulders of Buhari to win elections in the areas that Buhari was very strong. So that is what we find that is happening now. But the main ideals, the main policies and principles of ideological political parties, these are missing in our political settings today. And the reason why one of the reasons why I think they are missing is because no one is interested in those ideals, in those ideologies anymore. I have followed politicians to campaign. You are giving them flyers. You are telling them about your policy. They will tell you, we don't want. Even ordinary people.
What are you offering?
What are we want money, we want money, we won't see you again. Give us money now. These are the police. No, we don't want it. You are telling lies. When you get there, you will not implement anything. So they want money. They are not
the people themselves, they are also part of this problem.
The people are part of the people have been sucked into the problem.
By the politicians.
Yes, it's not as if the people were the creators of the problem. The politicians created the problem of moving away gradually from ideology-based politics. They moved away gradually. Once the original ideological politicians died one after the other, the Awolowos, the Amadu Bellos, the Aminu Kanos, and once they died, the people who took over from them moved away gradually. You will see the gradual movement. You will see that Awo was more pronounced with his welfareist program policies than those who took over from him. Than the first set, like the Ajashins, the Latif Jakondes, the Ayeko Authors of all those people were closer to Awo's ideas than the people who took over from them. So you see that the thing became diluted little by little over time, up to the point that what we have now is just people who are just mouth. Yes, people who are just using mouth to claim that they are Awois, people who are using mouth to claim that this and that. Even you saw that some of the old titans, one of them very recently, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, may God rest his soul. We still have some others. Fashoranti is there. And then we have some others. Professor Banji Akitoye is there. But these are old people, 90-something, 80-something. What can they do? And the people who claim to be following them now, are they living by their examples? You see that these people, they never amassed wealth. And politics at that time was not a politics of money. You can win elections in those days without having money.
Even look at what Jakonde did in Lagos.
Fine. So now, can you win election now without money? Is it possible for you now to stand up and say, I have integrity, I have reputation, I want to contest election? Soyinka tried it, he failed. Wole Soyinka.
Gani Fawemi.
With his ethical revolution, he failed. Gani Fawemi tried it. He lost his deposit. So now, and the same people, Fela started a movement of the people. People say, we're asking with Alomatele.
So what exactly is the coloration of our problem? Is it systemic or the people themselves?
The problem is systemic. You see, when a problem is systemic, it will seep into every facet of the national life. It will affect everybody. That is why when you want to solve a systemic problem, you don't just start cutting the branches of the tree. You uproot the tree.
So what should we uproot in this case?
What we should do in this case is, what I think we should do is we have to trace our problems back to the First Republic. The First Republic was when we had a constitution that was negotiated by all the various political classes, all the various ethnic groups, all the various political formations that we had then. And then we came to the 1960 constitution. That constitution remains the most democratic that we ever had. That is the only constitution, and up to some extent the 1963 constitution, that we can say, we the people.
Not the one of 1999.
Not those ones, they are just liars. They are the constitution of 1979, 1999, they are just liars. They just say, we the people. Where did we the people?
So if indeed we want to truly address this problem of political ideology and the quality of politicians that we have, are you suggesting now that we should have a new constitution entirely? Or we should continue to amend like we have been doing?
We don't need to amend. You see, the amendments they are just doing those ones to please themselves,
to give the impression,
to give the impression that they are doing something. We have the 1960 Constitution. I have it in my library. We have the 1963 Constitution. I have it in my library. Let's go back to that. Let's bring that Constitution. And then we had the political system that was in place then. We had the way this country was structured. Now this country has been structured in such a way that it is not functional. We have 36 states, and out of these 36 states, there may be only about 3 or 4 can sustain themselves without federal allocation.
Hey, but we are clamoring for more.
That is the problem. You see, you discover that some of the people that are saying that they want a change of the system, they are still the same people clamoring for more states. They are still the same people asking for local government autonomy. And then we ask the question, if you are actually asking for true federalism, fiscal federalism, how can you at the same time be asking that local governments should operate and be controlled from Abuja? How can you say that local governments should get their funds direct from Abuja, and whoever pays the piper dictates the tune? And you are saying that you are asking for federalism. Our people are confused about, many of us, even those of us who are educated, the professors, the politicians, some people will say certain things, will ask them, but this contradicts fiscal federalism. This thing contradicts true federalism. How can you have states that are begging bowls? They just go to Abuja now they have the last allocation now, 2 trillion. How much they say? They all share. That is how it is. And when they share this money, you don't see the evidence on ground. So it is because the system is operated, the system operates in such a way that there is no accountability. The money they are spending is not my money. Except you are working in an organization like this where your pay is deducted upfront. How many Nigerians pay tax? Even those who are paying tax, how many of them are paying the correct tax? So it is not your money. So you don't feel concerned that it is your money that they are collecting from Abuja. It is oil money, it is gas money, it is VAT and things like that. So people are disconnected from the reality that this money actually belongs to us. There was a case of a governor in Oyo State, a military governor during that time. The workers were agitating and they went to him and they said that they wanted him to explain how he was spending taxpayers' money. He said that's very simple. If it is a taxpayers' money that you want me to account for, you call the accountant general, please calculate the taxpayers' money and explain to them. But the allocation from Abuja, that one does not concern you because it's not tax. He said the allocation from Abuja, they should set that one apart. That one does not concern you. You will say taxpayers, hey, give them taxpayers money. Let the NSC, let them go and share, decide how to spend taxpayer money. But me, I have been sent from Abuja. I sit here and determine how money from Abuja he spent. So the problem actually emanated from all these issues of state creation. We started by creating 12 states. At the time Yakubu Gowon created 12 states, it was to pull the rug from under the feet of the Biafrans to make sure that the southern minorities will no longer go with Biafra. And it worked at that time. But instead of stopping at that, we had gone on agitation for more states because we have been marginalized. We want governance to get to the grassroots and things like that. We have created and created and created and created more states in such a way that we have distorted the whole political configuration of the country. In the beginning, it was 6 states in the north, 6 states in the south. Is that not so? There was equity, there was fairness. But now we have 19 states in the north. We have 17 states in the south. And the south, from all indication, is ought to be more populous than the north. But you have a lot of problems that have been built into the system, the census figures that says that the arid region is more populous than the southern region. You see a lot of things, and you travel in those arid regions, you don't see those towns, you don't see anything there, and yet when they come out with figures, the figures trump whatever you get from the south.
In addressing this problem now, should it be the constitution, having a new constitution alone, that is one. All these politicians and political parties that we have these days, should we do away with them and start on a fresh page, registering new political parties. Because when you look at the major political parties of today, we have the APC, we have the PDP, we have the ADC, Labour Party, just name them. There is really no difference. It is just in the name. Today, I'm a member of APC. Tomorrow, I'm in ADC, without having any clear-cut political ideology. And then, yet, these people will come and campaign before Nigerians. Nigerians will demand for money instead of demanding for service.
You see, when a problem becomes endemic, the solution to it becomes very problematic. So our problem in Nigeria is endemic, is systemic, and any solution you want to prefer becomes very problematic. You know, people have to sit down and look at what can be done. But my suggestion is, let's trace our footsteps back to what worked. When you compare the First Republic and the other republics we have had, it appears as if the First Republic served us better. So let's go back to that system where we can have political parties that are ideologically based, and perhaps even political parties that are based, that are regional.
Okay.
That are regional. Because, Lord, when people talk about tribalism, I tell them that you cannot be a good Nigerian if you are not a good Yoruba person, you are not a good Igbo man, you are not a good Hausa man, you say you want to be a good Nigerian. It's not possible. You cannot climb your tree from the leaves. You have to climb from the trunk. So, let us, in that time we had parties that were region-based. And everybody, there was competition to develop his or her own region. When Awolowo did for a free education in the Southwest, the Southeast imitated it. When you do this, when you set up University of Ife, you set up their own and things like that. So when we were doing everything to make cocoa production to blossom, they were doing a groundnut in the north, they were doing timber, they were doing rubber in the east and the Midwest. But now, there is no such competition again between regions, between states. There is no state that is competing with another state now. Everybody is just waiting to collect allocation from Abuja and then spend. That is why the tax reforms that the president tried to do the other time, to say that taxes should be people who generate more of these taxes should benefit more than those who are not generating.
And they are taken out of it.
Yes, and now they kicked against it. They said it was against the North. It was an anti-North. It was this, it was that. Yes, it can be said to be anti-North because the North will get less, because they were contributing less. So the best thing would have been for them to say, let us contribute more so that we can take more. But no, they stalled it until the thing was watered down to the point that now they still get more than they are contributing. You can't have a system that will work that way. The economic system is not working, and the political system is not working. The political system cannot work if the economic system that underpins it is fraudulent. The economic system that underpins the political structure we have is fraudulent. It is not fair. It is not a system that makes people to want to really work and to really want to contribute. Virtually everybody is a parasite on the resources that come from just a section of the country. Resources that come from crude oil, resources that come from gas, resources that come from VAT, which is got primarily from Lagos. That is what everybody is aiming at. Now that they are even saying that they want to develop the mining sector, you have found out that even the people who have the so-called minerals, they don't want to share it with the other parts of the country. They want to mine it alone and eat it alone. That is the crux of these insecurity problems we have in many parts of the north today. They create this crisis, drive away government from the area, and individuals begin to mine these resources and take them away. Money that is supposed to come to the federation account for everybody to share is now cornered by just a few people. And how can a system like that work? So both the economic system, which is underpinning the political system, they have to change if we really want to have a system whereby people can belong to where they rightly belong. You can't say that political parties are just platforms. They tell us that political parties is just a vehicle. A governor
to realize their aspirations.
Yeah, a governor came and said, if I want to go to if I want to travel to Abuja from my state in Uyo, and so aircraft is not available, it is this one that's available. I jump into it, provided I get to Abuja.
And he already jumped.
He already jumped already. So
and many others will still jump before 2027 election.
Yes, many have even jumped without declaring. You see, many will not jump; they will stay where they are. But they will
behind the scenes.
Yes, in their vote, you will know that they have jumped. It's a very simple thing. So we have a problem that the whole thing is dysfunctional.
So when things are dysfunctional like that, then what then becomes the hope of our democracy?
Our democracy will grow. You see, democracies are not they don't mature in a day. It is not a matter of 1 year or 2 years or 10 years or things. And we have had democracy since 1999. That's good enough. That's the longest that we have ever had. But have we gone anywhere near the democracy of the United States? Have we gone anywhere near the democracy of Britain or other places? We haven't. The democracy of India, Canada, New Zealand, and other places like that. So we will grow. And that is the reason for this kind of discussion yeah. For us to rub minds and for everybody to come with his ideas. Nobody has a monopoly of knowledge. Some of the things that I have said here may not be feasible when you get to the field, or some people may say that that is not the right thing. They may have to correct it. They may have to say, why don't you let us do it this way or do it that way? People will come with ideas and opinions, and when we sit down and we look at all these things together and we allow our experience to guide us. We've had a lot of experience since 1999, and some of this experience have guided us in some of the things we are doing. But it's only that we think that we should have moved faster than we are moving, and they should have allowed more people into the political system. Now the political system in Nigeria has become it has become a cult. So if you are not a billionaire, you can't get into it because you need money.
You can't even do politics in Nigeria without having money.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your insights into this particular conversation this morning, democracy and political ideology in Nigeria. And of course, Mr. Bola Bolawole had been able to identify some of the challenges facing our democracy in Nigeria and the need for all these political gladiators to at least have some sense of conscience and, of course, deliver dividends of democracy to Nigerians. When you call APC, PDP, ADC, they are all the same. And that's why you see them jumping from one ship to the other. We thank you once again for your time on the program.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
We'll take a very short break now. When we come back, Joy and Adebimpe will take over with their own conversation. Stay with us.